I was working on this web app built in React where I once had a crazy requirement thrown at me by the client. I was definitely a beginner in React at the time, and I thought maybe something like this isn't possible. If you are familiar with the various types of inputs that HTML offers, can you guess what kind of input is this? It is a select button. You click on the button, it shows you a bunch of options dropping down. You select an option, the drop-down menu closes, and the selected option is displayed as a result in the select button. Now what I was asked to do was this. There would be two select buttons. Both would be showing the same set of options when clicked. It was provided that there would always be two options in the dropdown. When the user interacts with any one of the select buttons and chooses an option, the second select button would automatically, or should I say programmatically, be selected with the remaining option. Let's call this feature auto selection. Also, the option would look different from the selected option. And by this, I mean that the UI would be different. Now, what are the things I thought were difficult to achieve? First of all, number 5. I thought that it only makes sense for the user to see what the user selected. If the option shows you this, then after selecting it, you should be able to see this. But the requirement said otherwise. Second, number 4. This wasn't difficult to achieve, but as a professional member of ISIMA society, I was skeptical. The remaining things like 2 select buttons, ruling only 2 same options, that was easy because there's not much of an algorithm there. Now, I think I've been an advocate of how brilliant of a UI library and.d is on my channel before. This time too, and.d was what saved me. So in the app, I'm using styled components by wrapping and.d components. Here's the and.d styled select component with a bunch of styling. Here I'm using it in a React functional component. According to and.d documentation, the options must be provided as an array of this type of object. It has 2 keys, label and value. So here's a variable that stores the array. And here is me using this component twice by using map. With this, I'm already done with the first 3 requirements. Now I wanted to get done with the 5th requirement first, where the option and selected result would look different because I thought that that was unachievable. Guess what? And.d select component provides a prop where you can render the label. Label is this part, which I'm referring to as selected result. And that's it. I was done with the biggest challenge. About the last remaining requirement, that is auto selection, I sneaked in my algorithmic skills. Every input consists of 4 important things. Its name, its value, what happens when you change the value, what happens when you're done changing the value. These can be referred to as name, value, onChange, and onBlur. Now I had to provide the onChange prop to track what the user selected. In the onChange, I provided my own method, which takes the value which the user selected from the onChange method. And since I'm using map to render the select buttons, I also have access to the index of the select button that was just interacted with. This way, I know which select button was not interacted with. Since there's only 2 select buttons, there are only 2 indices, 0 and 1. So if the user interacts with any of them, let's call it IDX. An interesting way to get the other one is IDX XOR with 1. Glad to be familiar with a few tricks of bit manipulation here. You see, if IDX is 0, this operation would give 1. And if it is 1, this operation would give 0. So I can simply set the other select button's value programmatically. And that's it. It always starts with self-doubt, but if it ends with, okay, I figured it out, that's a cue you can take to say to yourself that maybe you are improving. And it's not as difficult as it seems. Thanks for watching.